You can build a successful career, you can push through exhaustion, you can override the warning signs, and you can even convince yourself that you are absolutely fine, right up until your body makes a decision for you. Today, we are talking about rest and recovery, not as a luxury, but as biological infrastructure for performance. I'm joined by Anneke van Genderen, an engineer turned alternative healthcare practitioner, whose burst appendix left her poisoned and nearly dead, and forced her to rebuild her life from the ground up. I'm Ildiko Sealey, your routine and performance strategist, and this is Routine is Revenue, where we connect your personal health routines directly to your business and career performance. Anneke, you trained as an engineer. You built a health clinic on prestigious Harley Street, but now you're working as a healthcare assistant in an acute medical unit. Now, from the outside, that can look like a real drastic step down. But do you feel that you downgraded your career?
So yes and no. I work as a healthcare assistant in the acute medical unit to learn what I consider to be the good bits of modern healthcare. From engineer, I went to study all sorts of alternative healthcare modalities because I'd been very ill. And I started that in 2000.
Okay.
It is now 2026. So I've been in alternative healthcare for 26 years. When you are in alternative healthcare for 26 years, it's very easy to get into an attitude of modern healthcare.
Okay, just for those who are listening, at this stage, Anneke kind of literally just sort of pulled her shoulder. I can't even describe it, and pulled quite a face like modern healthcare is.
Yes, that's.
Mind you, I think I had conversations with people, but it's like we now refer to it as alternative healthcare, but for millennia, that was the healthcare using nature.
Yeah. So it's very easy to get absorbed in that and to think that modern healthcare has got nothing to offer. My personal opinion is that modern healthcare does have things to offer. For example, if you break your leg, please go to hospital.
Yeah.
Have an X-ray taken, and they will then either apply a cast or put a plate and some screws in your leg or whatever it is, and then you can come to me. Yes, that's possible, but it's one of the things where modern medicine shines, I would say, is in the acute setting. And I wanted to get a better understanding of the people who are not coming to see me and the people who come to see me and should really go to hospital.
Okay.
And as a healthcare assistant, for the people who are not from the UK, a healthcare assistant is the lowest rank in hospital. I'm definitely not a doctor. I'm not a nurse. The things I do on paper are really, really simple. You make sure people have got something to drink, they've got something to eat, the call button is nearby, and they are clean. That's the main...
The absolute primary care.
That's the basis of it. And then we also escort them to imaging or to a new ward if they need to go somewhere else in hospital.
So what did you do in your clinic on prestigious Harley Street?
I would take people through a one-day breakthrough session, which is the top tier thing of what I do, is where people come to me in the morning with a problem, and by the end of the day, the internal problem has gone. They now have the tools to solve whatever it is they need to solve.
Wow, it sounds like you literally wave a magic wand and they walk out
It's
healthy.
Hard work. It's really hard work. And they won't be, if you come because you're overweight, by the end of the day, you're not
going to look like a supermodel. Absolutely,
yes.
Yeah.
But the mechanisms behind it and the mentality and whatever happened to you in the past that caused you to live the life you currently live, that will be gone. It comes with homework pre-entry to the day, and it comes with homework after the day, because it's a really weird sensation. During the day, we resolve so many issues that it feels like a vacuum inside of you.
I hope you don't mind sharing. So you had a burst appendix that practically poisoned you and left you nearly dead. So please take us back to that moment and what was happening in your body and in your life before that rupture happened, and what sort of crisis or force that you had to confront.
Well, we just immigrated to Great Britain. So my then husband, he got work in Great Britain, and I helped him settle in January of that year. I was still living in the Netherlands with 2 little children. My daughter then was 6 months and my son had just turned 3. So to do, childcare and work and all the rest of it is taxing enough as it is. Every now and then going to Great Britain with 2 small children is an interesting experience. And then, of course, there is the fact that every now and then he would come back home. And, of course, when children are that young, they grow and develop very quickly. So the times he would come home, he had known the situation before. It was all different. The whole routine was different.
Okay.
And he would upset the apple cart. And so that was a very stressful time. I also sold the house, packed everything, made everything ready to immigrate to Great Britain. Looking back at it, it must have been stressful, especially the kids was stressful, but the rest I kind of do because I've moved house quite a lot. I just arrived 7 weeks earlier, so we were just settling in.
Okay.
And so maybe the stress came out, I don't know. But I had a burst appendix. The GP came out to see me. And he said, I don't know what, but something has burst inside you. Here's an ambulance, blue light, and you'll be brought to hospital. Prepare your mind. You're going to have an operation today. And they didn't. They left me for 3 days before they operated on me.
Now, I don't know a lot about burst appendixes, but all I know is that basically your body gets flooded with toxins.
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah.
How did you not die?
My life was still meant to be lived. I don't know.
It wasn't your time.
It wasn't my time, no.
In some belief systems, literally, they would say it wasn't your time to go.
It wasn't my time, yeah.
But what I take away from that is that, as you've just described how your life was at that point, you were doing several people's work, really, incredibly stressful and busy times. So your body literally forced you to take a rest.
Oh, yes, it did. For quite a while.
So how did that unfold for you?
I was 45 kilograms by the time I left hospital.
I know exactly what 45 kilograms looks like because sadly my mom, and she had been in hospital for some months with cancer and multiple operations. Yeah. She was about 45 kilograms when I went to see her. Yeah. And I didn't recognize her. And she was like at least a foot shorter than you. Yeah. So I cannot imagine what it would have been like for you as a tall person.
I couldn't lift the kettle. In Great Britain, the water kettle is a thing. I couldn't open the children's gate because, my daughter was then 1 year old and, we needed the gate to keep her safe. And I couldn't open it. I just didn't have the
physical strength
to do that. So I went back to the Netherlands with the children to stay with my parents for about 2 months. And then I went back to Great Britain to still recuperate. The children where my son was going to school and my daughter was going to a lady in the village who looked after children, and, other people stepped in. People I didn't really know because, I'd only been there 7 weeks. And even in those 7 weeks, how much can you accomplish in 7 weeks, as in social connections? And the people I met then, I can never, ever repay. I can't repay them. It did instill in me, to only offer help if I can actually help. When I offer help to people, I state the kind of help I can give. So I can, whatever it is, I can cook you a meal once a week, or I can take your dog for a walk, or I specify it so that they don't ask me things that would stress me out. I don't expect anything back because I can't repay the people who helped me then, but I can pay it forward.
So this is all like this attitude of how you offer any support to other people. Does it stem from that time when you were on your own and you were doing absolutely anything and everything that life was throwing at you without any selection, and then you ended up very ill? Does it stem from there?
Yes, from the people who helped me come back, to my former self, to recuperate. Yeah. And I've still got friends from that time.
Can I ask where you lived at the time?
In Mid-Wales.
Mid-Wales? Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And that can be really quite remote. And I suppose, I wonder if that kind of slightly explains the community spirit in there, because when you're on your own, you're on your own.
There's not an awful lot there, yes.
Because you are now on the front line in that acute medicine unit that we mentioned, seeing very sick people every day. How does it make you feel? Does it bring back awful memories when you were very sick? Or that is exactly the thing that fuels you to help these people?
No, it doesn't bring... Of course, you've got your own reservoir of experiences to dip into when you deal with people. But for me, at the moment, the biggest challenge is old people with dementia, because that's very close to the bone. My dad passed away, but my mum, she's got dementia now, and I prefer not to be on a one-to-one basis with dementia patients if they can swing it.
Because it's a trigger for you.
I find it difficult to do, and I can do it. It's just not pleasant. But for the rest, I dip into all the resources I've got. And I think quite often you do it unconsciously.
It's really interesting. It's a bit of a paradox there, because obviously we've already established that before you fell ill, you were taking on a lot. And then you fell ill and then you had some help, and that shaped how you offer support now. But
Privately.
Privately, okay.
Yeah. So if friends so if friends ask me if they fall ill or they need support, then I will offer support in a certain way. Yeah, not in hospital. In hospital, I just do the work I need to do.
Yeah. You still have to regulate yourself to make sure that you don't take on too much of work. Because the very next question I was going to ask you is, how do you manage your own rest now and your recovery in between shifts? Because I can imagine working in healthcare, it's not easy.
Currently, how I manage is because the shifts are 12 and a half hours long.
Goodness.
So, and in a way, I like it, because work is then over and done with. You can get shorter shifts, so you can get 7:30 till 2:30.
Like what you would call a standard 8-hour shift?
But I don't like that, because then the work's not finished. So I know what a whole day looks like, and that needs to be finished. And if I do half a day, that doesn't sit well with me. I want to finish what I started. I want to finish my shift, if at all possible.
So that's kind of like a full working day for some anyway. But to you, it doesn't feel like it. Even though you sort of see patients through from sort of breakfast to lunch.
Well, we've got breakfast, lunch and dinner. Yes, we do. Yeah.
Is there such luxuries that you have a lunch break?
2 half-hour breaks, and then it's divided in 3, so not everyone disappears from the ward at the same time. Half an hour in the morning, half an hour in the afternoon. But how I manage my my rest time, I do my 3 days in a row.
Always 3 days on and 3 days off?
3 days on, 4 days off, which everyone says that I'm absolutely mad to do that, because it's hard work. It's really hard work.
Fully on for 3 days and then fully off. But at the same time, you are doing other things in your life. So are you doing this to support that as well? Like you're doing your podcast, you've got future plans, which we're going to get onto.
The pattern came to be because this was the job available.
Okay.
So the job available was either 3 days or full-time. And full-time means 3 weeks of 3 days and 1 week of 4 days. And I didn't want to do that. I only wanted to do 3 days. That was enough. And initially the days were all over the place, and it did my head in, because I couldn't get anything else done. Every day you work, if it's less than 20,000 steps, it's a slow day. So that's the steps. That's the steps alone, and then you have to do the physical work. So I was tired. So every time I would have had a day of work, or maybe 2 days of work, I'd sleep in. So my current pattern of 3 days, and thank goodness they allow me to do it, 3 days work. And then on Monday, the only thing I do is I wash and iron my uniform, I sleep, and I do the dishes and I sleep, and I have a bath and I sleep. And that's my rest.
So basically, you've got this weekly pattern then. But do you feel that in the 3 days you run yourself into the ground?
Well, almost, because the third or the fourth day in this case, the fourth day I'm preparing food and everything for
the coming 3 days.
3 days.
So do you feel that the rest and recuperation you give yourself this way with this pattern is enough to keep yourself healthy and prepare you for all these other things that you are building?
Yes. Could it be improved upon? Definitely. It works. I've done a couple of weeks now of 4 days in a row because I needed to train myself for an upcoming thing I'm going to do. So I needed to do 4 days in a row. And it's possible, I can do it. But the 3-day gap in between then is
not enough.
Not enough to do anything else, if that makes sense. So there's no space for podcast or doing therapies or anything else. Yeah. So the 3 days currently is something I can maintain, if that makes sense. 4 days, I wouldn't be able to maintain that for a long period of time. And maybe if I do it often enough, I'll train myself up to it, because you do get fitter when you do it. So there's definitely a curve there, but it's not what I want.
If you are listening to this thinking this is exactly where I get stuck, that's not accidental. This is the work I do privately with business owners who want sustainable performance without it costing them their health. If it resonates, you will find the link in the show notes. When you rebuilt your health after technically nearly dying, were there any particular routines that you were following, things that get you back on track and get your health back on track? Were there any non-negotiables to stabilize you first? And then where did you go from there?
Well, life showed me the non-negotiables because, I could do almost nothing. So that's it. You have to really... No, I had to build up from the ground up. The official NHS dietary advice at the time, for me specifically, was you can have milkshakes and French fries because you need to fatten up. I didn't know an awful lot about nutrition, but I knew that wasn't what... to me, it doesn't ring true. I didn't need fattening up, I needed building up. I didn't think that it was going to sit well within me to do milkshakes and French fries. I did not know what to do instead. So what I did was really wrong. On offer at the time was toast, and they had on offer
this
salads.
Is while you were still in hospital.
When I was still in hospital, salads. And if you've had an operation in your stomach, or your gut, where they've kind of basically cut you open, saw the damage, cut off the bad bits, gave the rest a bit of a rinse and sewed you up again. You do not want to eat anything that's taking a lot of effort of your gut to digest.
Yeah.
You want easily digestible stuff. So I didn't follow the NHS advice. I very quickly realized that my own knowledge was not enough. And I found a herbalist. She was ancient at the time. She must have been my age. But to me, she was really old and wise. She gave me proper dietary advice, told me to start with juices, because then my gut didn't have to work so much to digest the nutrition in it. I needed nutrition. I needed way more nutrition than that I could eat, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay.
And I couldn't eat an awful lot of stuff because of my gut was still not happy.
So interestingly, that's exactly what you were advised in that extreme situation.
Yes, but then also celery juice or red beet juice or carrot juice, and then bit by bit smoothies. So you've got the whole plant.
So you built up your nutrition to, as you said, I think you put it really well, that you had to rebuild your body rather than just fatten up. I mean, the whole phrase just sounds awful. All the things that are going through my head, like I've never seen food so disgusting as I did in hospital when a friend was in hospital and stuff like that. And you hear horror stories, because I really don't want to slag off the NHS at all. Fortunately, I've never really had to rely on it to the point when I've never been to hospital for an operation and stuff, although I obviously do get treatment for other things.
Yeah, they do their best, I have to say. The kitchen, they do try. And sometimes you look at it and you think, oh, yeah, not quite today, not quite. This lady also told me to do energy work, and that's how I came to do Reiki.
Okay.
In her mind, I was going to do acupuncture, but that was just too much for me. I just, at the time, I just couldn't have the needles. Now I don't care, but now there's more to me. That was... Yeah. So I did Reiki, and I followed the protocols with the food that was prescribed and how to make it, herbs and potions and lotions and all the rest of it. And bit by bit, I got better. 5 months later, I got admitted again with a knot in my bowels, which felt quite similar to having a burst appendix. And again, they left me for 3 days, but with a good reason, because they were hoping that because the bowels move so much, that the knot would undo itself, which it didn't. So they had to operate again. Not having peritonitis after a bowel operation is a big bonus.
Not having what, sorry?
Peritonitis.
I don't know what that is.
It's where a layer in your belly gets inflamed, and that would have been the cause of that if I had died. So the first operation, because it was all, as you say, this poison in your body.
The toxins flood you.
And this layer, this thin layer, when that gets inflamed, it's called peritonitis.
Okay.
And that would have been the cause of death. But the second operation, I didn't get that because it was all clean, if that makes sense.
Right, okay.
And that layer didn't get inflamed. So I felt quite a bit better after the second operation. And I immediately implemented all the things I'd learned the first time around.
And I was going to latch onto that a little bit, because the framework that I teach is based on a temple method. So apart from the fact that we analyze time as the foundation to everything, but then with my clients, we go through all the core health pillars. And it sounds to me that you literally, to rebuild your life back at the time, you went through pretty much all of the core health pillars. You mentioned all of them. So starting with nutrition, your physical health had to be looked after greatly. And then your mental and spiritual health, going to Reiki. Did you actually learn Reiki? Is that what you then later did in your clinic?
I started to study all the modalities that had been inflicted upon me. Well, I asked for it. I started with Reiki because as an engineer at the time, it didn't make an awful lot of sense. And I wanted to be able to scratch it off the list. But it turned out that I'm actually really good at it, and I became a Reiki master.
There you go.
So, yeah.
And then, of course, your intellectual health, because you were really quite conscious of what you were learning, what you were taking in, what advice you were seeking. Your emotional health, because when you then moved, you were in a remote area and you really picked people who were able to help you and nurtured the right relationships to help you get better. These were all like the essential foundations to literally rebuild your life.
The only thing missing that you do is movement, because I just couldn't.
So for any entrepreneurs and career professionals listening who are running on adrenaline, perhaps, who are just telling themselves that they will rest when, I don't know, the next project is launched or the next project is finished, whatever comes next in their business life, what is one concrete action people could take right now to stop borrowing from their future health?
First, the realization that that's what you're doing. I think a lot of people think they've got, forever to live, or they won't get any serious health problems. They're going to live forever, and there's no problem. I see that a lot in hospital. People are surprised they're ill. And and for quite a lot of them, you can make a list of things. Well, what happens? And then they start to name it. And then if you say, and now here you are. And they go, yeah, actually, yes. Yeah, here I am. I wish there was a general tendency, a general knowledge, a general thing that people realize that life is only a short time. A similar age, I'm a bit older than you are, but we can look both ways now. We can look back to the past and we can see, I don't know if your parents are still alive, but,
One is, it kind of informs our future, doesn't
yes,
it?
Yeah. Whilst when you are, in your 20s or 30s, 50 seems far away. And 75, flipping heck, who's 75? That's a long way off. People don't seem to be thinking that way, at least not in Great Britain and not in the Netherlands either. Quite often something drastic needs to happen to wake them up, whether it happens to them or a loved one or a close friend. And what questions to ask? Oh, my questions are always very simple, First of all, why are you here? What brings you in hospital? Because we see so many people. And when I meet a new patient coming in, so if it's a patient who's been there overnight, I get a handover. This patient is here because of fall or shortness of breath or renal problems or whatever the case may be. But if it's a new patient coming in during the day, I don't know what's wrong.
In hospital, indeed, that's the obvious. You ask, what brought you here?
Yeah.
The digging deeper kind of questions, the questions that make people realize that had they done or not done certain things in the past, whatever week, month, year, or years, then they wouldn't actually end up.
Yeah, it's possible to grow old in years, but to stay connected, to be in the middle of, for want of a better word, because I don't particularly like it, a community, group of people
super
who
important.
Look out for each other. And whether that's family or friends or neighbors, it doesn't really matter. It keeps them engaged. It keeps them connected to the world.
That's with our relationships, isn't it?
But many older people don't have that. What can you do to
stop borrowing from your future
stop
health?
Borrowing from your future health? On one level is to stay engaged, to have those examples in your life that indeed you can be old and spritey and naughty and all the rest of it, because that's the other side. Older people really don't care anymore. They say
you
whatever.
Get to that point. Yeah, absolutely.
So that's the main thing I think you can do. And the second thing would be good nutrition and hydration. Hydration. I've just done a podcast about hydration. It is unbelievable how many people are dehydrated and wonder how it can be that their blood pressure is low, why they've got brain fog. Water is so important for so many things.
So I know that now you are actually looking to buy land to build an eco farm with an alternative healthcare centre. So you're kind of going back to your root of the health clinic that you had before.
Not only health clinic. So I started out my studies in horticulture and international agricultural trade. So that's what I'm in engineering. That was my first study.
Okay, well, and mention engineering actually never asked, but I thought that was like mechanical.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it was horticulture and international agricultural trade. So,
cool.
So I am from the countryside, brought up on a small holding, always worked in horticulture as summer jobs, bar 2 summers. One summer I worked in a home for old people, a kind of hospital setting, cottage hospital. And the other I worked in a shop, but the rest of the summer jobs was always in horticulture. So to buy land and start a farm it's not a flight of fancy, if that makes sense.
Well, farming in any sense is kind of like a lifestyle. You live it. You live it. It's certainly not a 9 to 5. It's 365 days a year kind of thing.
Yeah.
So what would you like to achieve at this eco farm and alternative healthcare centre?
Yes, so first the land, that would be great, and then put in infrastructure and buildings and all the rest of it, which I will thoroughly enjoy doing. I really enjoy that. It's a different kind of creativity. We talked about creativity in the other podcast. And then once it's up and running, to have a food forest around it and to utilize the land in a way that doesn't deplete the land. And I would love for a certain group of people to be able to be there, have a roof over their head, 3 square meals a day, and to work on the land as well. So they'll have a routine. It is not only my house, but it will also be my home. So the people who get to stay, they'll have to
their
match.
home as well.
Yes, it will be their place as well. So it will have to match. I won't just take on everyone to be there.
So these people, will they be your patients, your clients?
Most of them, I hope, will be veterans.
I see.
And then there will be some random people. Undoubtedly, there will be random people as well. But there will be not only a vetting process, but there will also be a kind of mentoring process amongst each other. So the people who stay there longer, they will take on new people.
They become part of the furniture in a way. But then again, do you have any ideas of how long you want people to stay as a maximum, or can it become a
No, they can stay
home?
as long as they need to stay, and then build up themselves towards, this is what I want to do in life now. This is what I'm working towards. And when they feel that they're ready to take that step, they'll take that step.
And yes, as veterans, that will be their version of rest and recuperation after being in the forces and prepare themselves for the rest of their lives.
Yeah. And at times that can be really, really, really hard because it's a very different world. Yeah.
Indeed. Well, living in Plymouth, I've got a number of friends who are ex-forces, and of course the city is kind of by default having a Navy base there, has got a large number of veterans. And some thrive and some don't for various reasons. Yeah. Some come out and just hit the ground running. But all I keep thinking about, I'd love to put you in touch with 3 people. One is a lady called Christine, who I think is also Dutch, and she set up an eco farm in Cambridgeshire. Okay. And we had a very interesting conversation about very similar things about, the pesticides. And she was saying like farmers just want to kill in a way to have more crops. So she's kind of educating her community, her farmer community where she's based. There's another lady down our way in Totnes, or the Totnes area in Devon, who deals with veterans. And right now I can't think of the third person. But anyhow, yes, it will come back. But here you are. So you're still working effectively full time, but you are building a number of new businesses, and you've got some great plans to build on all your life experiences.
Yes, and when you talk about rest and recuperation, that will be one of the things of this alternative healthcare center, because the veterans, it will be mostly veterans. It's not only rest as in sleep, it's rest in a place where you can be, where you can relax totally, because there's nothing there unless you're afraid of sheep or chickens. There's nothing there. And there will be plenty of land around to be also together with other veterans. I'm not a veteran, so I can't speak from that part. The rest and recuperation they get if coming back from a deployment is very short, and people with families, they go back to their families, and then that's a whole different role, and it's a big switch.
Do you think some of these people would end up going into either the farming business that they would learn there with you, or some other business?
Who knows? But if they want to eat, they'd better grow it.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. They have to start somewhere, and working on the land with your hands and with animals, it's got its own vibe, and it's proven over and over again that it's very healthy, and it's something I happen to know, and it fits in very well with all the other therapies that I do, and it makes sense. maybe to no one else, but to me it makes sense. So
It does make sense to me too.
There you go. Thank you.
That's awesome. Anneke, thank you so much for bringing your wealth of experience as a healthcare specialist, and then of course your life experiences of going through some serious illness and the importance of rest and recuperation on life. Thank you for sharing your story with us.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
If this conversation made you think, please subscribe, leave a comment and listen again. If you would like more information on the topic or my guest, all information are in the show notes. Build routines, bank results.